What if I told you that the game I'm about to talk about you can only play if you're a master multitasker? Sounds intriguing, right? Now, if you guys are new to the channel or a returning viewer, welcome, and we're actually taking a slight pivot into only talking about games I'm actually interested in. And it should have been like that from the start, and it only took me 4 years to kind of get here, but we're here. And today we are talking about a really interesting game that I'm actually really excited for it to release. It's called The Alters. And if I had to categorize it, I would say this is a single-player survival game with some building mechanics, as well as being extremely narrative-driven. But not so narrative-driven that it takes away from the actual gameplay. But before we get into that, we need to lay the foundation of the other aspects of the game. Now, I recently got to spend about 7 hours playing a few different acts of the game, and previous to that, I actually got to play it last year, so I'm pretty familiar with what the game has to offer. But on top of that, I've also gotten to pull back the curtains on how the game progresses, and it has me optimistic about how many curveballs this game can actually have for you. And for all intents and purposes, I'm not going to be comparing this to anything that actually exists right now, because I don't think there's anything quite like it. Now, there's definitely games with aspects that could be considered inspiration, but at most, this game is a conglomerate of ideas that's really paving its own way as far as its gameplay goes. But I think that's enough enticing for now. Let's get into the overview of The Alters. Now, both times I got hands-on with this game, we started with the first mission, and it did not change from the year apart I played them. And quick side note before we really get into it, the world environments are going to be the first thing you notice, because the graphical fidelity of this game is absolutely gorgeous. Now, shortly after starting the game, you wake up crash-landed on this desolate planet. Your team didn't make it, and you have to make your way to your space station, and are soon introduced into the early stages of the gameplay loop, making calls to home base to give mission status updates and collecting resources to survive. This of which I definitely found pretty enjoyable. You survey areas for resource deposits, the design of which I think is aesthetically pleasing. Then you place an excavator or pump of sorts to retrieve the resources, and these need to be manned. That is key to know. You also need to link these back to your ship, and this also doubles as a fast travel beacon as well, which turns out to be really handy because sometimes you need to get back ASAP. And all of these resources are used to craft new tools, supplies, kits to fix things on your ship. It's all very interconnected. Another aspect of the game is base building, and you can move modules around to your liking. There are expansions you can add that enhance mission capabilities, improve the food you can make, research departments to make the base more effective at collecting resources, as well as develop new tech for your exploration. Additionally, you might have noticed that the base is far from traditional. It's a giant wheel, and you can use this base to move around the world. Now, you can't drive it, but like I mentioned before, you can customize it. And the tools you use to do this are snappy, responsive, and in my opinion, very satisfying to mess with. And there are other amenities you can add that can keep your crewmates happy, which is another aspect we should probably dive into. And that's because soon after starting the game, it's also revealed that the ship is going nowhere without a crew to man it. Luckily, there just so happens to be a resource on the planet and a tool on the ship that allows you to clone yourself. But it's not just a clone, it's actually an alternative version of yourself based off of the branching path of your memories. Meaning you are bringing into existence a person that has all of the same memories as you from the branching point prior, and all new memories leading them to become something different, like a doctor, a botanist, a scientist, or even a blue-collar worker. And slowly but surely you begin filling out your ranks with more and more versions of you. All of which, at the peak of which I experienced, feels like monitoring a bunch of children. You have to navigate conversations that will influence how they feel or act. You have to diffuse tense situations between the alters. Everyone has an input on how things should be run, and your decisions will dictate who likes you and who doesn't. Now, do you remember just a bit ago when I said that certain modules can make your crewmates happy? Well, that instance for me actually came up a few times, with one alter asking for a common room to relax in, which seems silly in the shadow of impending doom coming from not completing the mission, which is to survive. And it's up to you to decide whether or not it's worth the resources to build that unit and keep that alter happy, or say no and risk them maybe rebelling. Another example would be either the miner or the worker. I can't remember which one it was, but they asked me to build a base gym to help let off steam. And these are all decisions you have to make. appease the crew, or save resources. Also, I didn't do it myself, but I did see that there was actually a beer pong table in the common room, and you can actually play a minigame with the other alters to create some camaraderie. And I absolutely love it when developers put a minigame inside of a game. It's kind of charming. But back onto management, and I'm not exaggerating when I say things aren't even complex yet. You can assign crewmates to workstations, and depending on who you've made, gives work efficiency buffs if assigned to the right positions. And the easiest examples of this would be putting the scientist into the research lab or the botanist into the farming module. And then from there, the alters and yourself work on a day-to-day schedule. And if things get really hectic, you can actually put them into overtime at the cost of morale. And sometimes the mission might call for all hands to be gathering resources and you won't have time to work on research and development, which means you'll have everybody at a mining post for that workday. Sometimes there's electromagnetic storms and the ship will start to break down, which means you have to have your maintainer on call and repair kits ready to go so he can fix things. Or you can go out and mine during those storms, and while there is a lot of risk to it, there's actually more reward. You also have to keep track of how much cargo you have on board and if you need to build more storage banks. But increasing the amount of storage banks you have, or any other module, increases the amount of fuel you'll burn, so you'll need to spend more time into mining organic matter. And guys, there's even more to the game than that. We have barely scratched the surface of what is required to survive in this game. But to surmise what it feels like playing this, it's like having 100 ongoing tasks to complete, but never having enough hands to complete them at once. Oh, and this is probably a good time to mention that this is the same team that made Frostpunk and Frostpunk 2, you know, that Dark Souls city builder that also burdens you with a million tasks to complete. So yeah, they definitely have an expertise in delivering pain to the player. Now, the devs alluded to some pretty serious shakeups throughout the gameplay. They did a good job of letting us play through enough to garner intrigue and learn how difficult the game can be without letting us hit any major story spoilers, because apparently there's a lot of ways this game can shake out. Now, another big thing of note is that during our playtime, there were no enemies. The real danger in every aspect we encountered was the environment, whether it be semi-sentient anomalies that build radiation, time dilation pockets, magnetic barriers that drain your suit's internal battery, completely halting any exploration you had planned. But that's as far as we got, and that's in the first 6 to 7 hours of the game. And the devs did state that this is supposed to be a 25 to 30 hour playthrough, and that has me excited because in just that early stages of the game, you're encountering these weird anomalies. Like the first time I saw the time dilation pocket, you walk in and time just slowed down, and it was like, holy crap, I can't be in here. You saw like the clock for the day just burning and you had to get out of there.
What is this? A new anomaly?
Like, that was really exciting for me. So if things keep getting weirder, which things, I'm telling you, there's some stuff I haven't told you yet. Stuff was getting weird. So that has me excited for what this endgame could possibly be. And the last thing I want to touch on is probably one of my favorite aspects of gaming, and that is the voice acting. And I will say that Geralt of Rivia is in the game. Not the actual character, but the voice actor. I'm not going to say which character he plays, but he's definitely in there. But moreover on that, the person who plays your main character, Jan Dolski, which I probably should have mentioned early on, plays 11 different alters inside this title. And it's not just his same voice over and over again. It's different dialects with each one of them. Like the botanist is more soft-spoken and the scientist is more stern and analytic. And I think that's just one of my favorite parts while I was playing, was thinking to myself, one person is voicing everyone talking right now. Mind-blowing. But my overall impression of the game is that I think this is going to be one that makes you want to rip your hair out at times with how much stuff you have to balance, but at the same time also be something unique enough to shake up the gaming scene if you feel like it's kind of been stale. Now, I am supposed to get a review copy of this game, but to be honest, I don't think I'm going to have the time to beat it and then do a full review. But I will say that based off of what I played, I am very intrigued with this game. I want to beat it. I want to see how all the things kind of come together. I want to see what other weird stuff happens in the later acts, because man, things were getting really freaking weird, and it was just in Act 2. But honestly, guys, does this seem like something that you would want to try out? Have you even heard of this game? Because I feel like I haven't seen anybody else talk about it. Or did you learn about it from my channel? I'd love to know. Leave your comments down below. I try to stay as active as possible in there. I'm a single man operation. I shoot these videos, I edit these videos. So I really love to know and hear from you guys. So that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you on the next video of a game that I want to talk about.